The picture is of Florence Owens Thompson and her children. In 1936, a journalist, Dorothea Lange, captured this photo. Florence's family was seeking work, and this photo captured the poverty many faced in the Great Depression. The problem of borrowing money. People lived beyond their means with credit in the 1920s. They bought items they did not have cash for by borrowing money from a bank. There was also an uneven distribution of wealth. The rich were becoming wealthier as the middle class became burdened with debt. Once their debt became radically difficult to manage, many Americans then began buying less because they had less money. The prosperity of the 1920s begins to weaken. The Dow Jones Industry Average, a poll of the economic health of 30 large businesses in the United States, displayed prosperous times in the 1920s. There was a bull market for most of the 20s. This meant there were rising stock prices and many investors were reaping profits. A bear market means the stock market is unhealthy and businesses are becoming less profitable as stocks drop in value. Many bought stocks on speculation, meaning they were hoping to make a quick profit. Some started buying on margin. This meant they were borrowing money to buy stocks in the hopes that when their stocks reaped profits, they could pay back their loans. Trying to sell a surplus after World War I, international demand for food was high. European nations bought a lot of food from the United States, and these customers no longer needed America for food. The United States was too productive in farming. Farmers had so many crops that there were not enough customers to buy them. Railroad, steel, and textile factories were seeing profits fall as people began to spend less. Should the government intervene? Legislators tried to pass the McNary-Haugen bill. The plan was that the government would buy food and then sell it. Calvin Coolidge vetoed the bill. He was a Republican who believed in a hands-off, laissez-faire government and trickle-down economics. He asserted the private market should work out problems without the government's involvement. When farmers fell behind on loan payments to their banks, the banks foreclosed on many farmers and seized their property. Despite having a strong bull market through most the 1920s, on October 29th, 1929, the stock market crashed and became a bear market. The stock market crash of 1929, stocks began to fall in value dramatically in 1929. Many people panicked and moved their money out of banks on Black Tuesday, October 29th, 1929. As stocks fell, many tried to sell their stock, yet it was too late. Virtually nobody wanted to buy the stock since many investors had practiced buying on margin. They were left in a financial mess. Now their stocks had dropped in value and they could not pay back the money they borrowed to buy the stocks. The Great Depression in the United States, unemployment exploded, inflation grew and businesses closed. By the 1930s, thousands of banks failed and had closed. If you had money in these banks, you were not guaranteed to get anything back. Many people lost all the money they had in bank accounts. 25% of the nation became unemployed. This crushed the world markets as well. Sinclair Lewis, harsh critic of capitalism. Thanks to the failures of capitalism at the time, easy to convince others. The first writer from the United States to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. Herbert Hoover was a Republican who was elected president in 1928. The Great Depression began during his administration. Hoover did not want the government to intervene. use taxpayer money to give direct relief to those in need. Hoover felt government assistance would discourage people from pursuing individual responsibility. One program to gain his approval, the creation of the Hoover Dam at the Colorado River near Los Angeles and Las Vegas. It helps spur on agriculture and bring water to western cities. The Hoover Dam helped to irrigate vast regions in the western half of the United States. Volunteerism, Hoover pursued volunteerism. He asked businesses to not cut jobs for the good of the country, yet this was not mandatory, and many businesses did not cooperate. Hoover asserted that the United States was simply in a down business cycle, and that the government should get out of the way and let the private market work out the problems. Hoover eventually gave in a little and supported some government programs like the Federal Home Loan Bank Act that reduced mortgage rate payments for homeowners, a failed tariff to attempt to ensure that American businesses were protected from foreign competition. The U.S. passed the Hawley-Smoot tariff in 1930. When the United States did this, many European nations responded with their own tariffs. This led to a reduction of trade that negatively impacted the U.S. and countries in Europe. This tariff did not help the economy. It actually made it worse. America had too much surplus of many items, and these actions reduced the opportunity to sell them. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s was a massive drought mixed with high winds that destroyed crops. It was partially caused by farmers who exhausted the land by overfarming. Dust was gathered in the air due to the loose soil they created. The Dust Bowl caused many farmers to abandon farming and travel to cities to attempt to find work. There were virtually no government programs to help the poor, and shanty towns formed entire villages of homeless people in shacks. Many called them Hoovervilles. The Bonus Army, thousands of veterans protested in Washington, D.C. in 1932. They were veterans of World War I. The Wright-Patman Bill was created to pay a bonus to World War I veterans immediately. These veterans wanted bills like this to become law. Hoover's popularity plummets. Hoover eventually sent in the army to stop the protest and force the veterans to disperse. Over 1,000 people were gassed and 2 were shot. The nation, already frustrated with the Great Depression, became angry that veterans were treated this way. Douglas MacArthur and Dwight Eisenhower marched the veterans away. Hoover's reputation was damaged due to the Great Depression and this incident with the Bonus Army. Mexican Repatriation Act, thanks to nativists and the economy, the United States from 1929 to 1939 elected to deport up to 1.8 million people of Mexican descent. Most were American born. This was done to preserve jobs for the whites. To deport those born in the U.S. is a violation of the 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. and of the state wherein they reside.